They sent out fundraising messages the minute the lawsuit was filed. Most legal experts say this is questionable as well. Now, Trump is defending the legal action in a new op-ed in the Wall Street Journal. He writes, one of the gravest threats to our democracy today is a powerful group of big tech corporations that have teamed up with government to censor the free speech of the American people. This is not only wrong, it is unconstitutional. George Conway is back with us. George, you said this lawsuit was as stupid as you think it is. What do you mean by that?
It is every bit, and when you actually read the complaint, it is every bit as illogical and irrational as you would think it would be, because the essential thrust of the claim is that these social media companies are violating the First Amendment by deplatforming Trump. And the First Amendment doesn't apply to these social media companies. In other words, you don't have a right against these companies the way you have the right against the government not to have them cut you off. And for example, I mean, here, CNN, if I say something that somebody doesn't like and they say he's a terrible guest, it's CNN's First Amendment right to take me off the air, because CNN is not the government. If the government said, no, you can't have Conway on the air, that would violate the First Amendment. And there's a doctrine that distinguishes between public actors and private actors on that. It's called the state action doctrine, and it's a very important doctrine, particularly with regard to the First Amendment. And it says that the only way that a private actor can be treated like the governmental actor is that if they're performing an exclusive and traditional government function, if the action by the private entity is coerced, or if they're acting in cahoots jointly with the government. None of that happened here. And the allegations are essentially particularly ridiculous, because in claiming that Twitter and Facebook were acting as the government on January 6 or January 7, whenever it was when Trump was deplatformed, acting as the United States government and coerced by the United States government and acting jointly with the United States government, guess who was president of the United States? Donald Trump. The story just makes no sense in any number of levels. It's not going to last very long in court. The defendant should make a motion to dismiss, maybe even a motion for monetary sanctions for having to defend such a frivolous lawsuit, and it will get dismissed very quickly.
Constitutionally, we all have the freedom to say what we want to say, but you don't have that freedom actually right now if you are in politics in general, but especially in the Republican Party. We're seeing that when you look at this Ohio Senate race. Candidate J.D. Vance has apologized, George, because he criticized Trump as reprehensible in tweets that he has now deleted. What do you think about this?
I think it's absurd. He deserved credit for, he did more than I did. I actually supported Trump. He didn't, because he saw bad things in Trump. And I don't know how, after watching Trump, even after 1 or 1.5 or 2 years, you could conclude that, oh, he was better than I thought he would be. He was worse than everybody thought he would be. He was worse than J.D. Vance thought he was going to be. And this is all about political ambition. Because today, the litmus test for being a Republican is not whether you're for less regulation. It's not whether you're for a free market economy. It's not whether you're for the Constitution and so on. It's about whether you have fealty to Donald Trump. And that's just an ongoing problem with the Republican Party. And it seems to be just getting worse, notwithstanding the fact that he has been removed from office and he's been deplatformed. It's just getting worse. And I think it's on the edges of the Republican Party, it's going to cause Republicans to bleed more support and lose more elections like they did in Georgia, where people were convinced that their votes didn't matter because the president was saying that the elections were fraudulent. And it's just going to get worse for the Republicans, and it's a downward spiral, and it's very sad.
It's a test, but there's certainly only one answer there. George, it's great to have you with us this morning. George Conway, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
CNN sitting down with First Lady Dr. Jill Biden about her efforts to boost the country's vaccine